Die Hard is a Christmas movie. That's it. That's my opening. On this Christmas episode of Moving Panels, we discuss the episode of Marvel's What If, Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. Welcome to Moving Panels, the podcast where we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. I'm your host, Laramy Wells, and joining me today to deck the halls of alternate realities, adding his own sparkle of festive insight to this merry Marvel tale, it's Mr. Justin Baker. How are you, Justin?
Oh, Turkey 1 checking in. Eagle 1.
Yeah. Love It's going to be fun talking about this one. All right, so we are talking. This is our Christmas episode, so happy holidays, everybody. And I've been wanting to do this one ever since it aired last year, because it aired actually on Christmas Eve of 2023. And so I was just waiting for Christmas for this year. I went ahead and put it on the calendar. I'm doing Happy Hogan Saved Christmas as our Christmas episode. And so happy to do it. But yes, so of course you can see this on Disney Plus. It was the third episode of season 2 of Marvel's What If. This episode was directed by Brian Andrews, who had done a lot of the other Marvel stuff, and I think some of the other What If episodes. And it's a quick watch. It's only, it's a television show, so it's only about 30 minutes, probably 20 something minutes really. You do need to stay. I know we try to be spoiler free, but this isn't a spoiler. You do need to stay because there is a little treat for you at the end of the credits. We'll say that.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that with a What If.
It's fun though. It's just an audio thing. I will let you know. But yeah, so let's jump right into this and let's get into the very loose, but we'll see what we have here with the comic book connections.
This is the comic book connection theme.
The What If episode Happy Hogan Saved Christmas doesn't directly adapt a specific comic, but it carries the spirit of Marvel's What If comic series, which has explored countless alternate realities since its debut in 1977. The episode also draws inspiration from the Christmas classic Die Hard, with Happy Hogan stepping into the role of an unexpected hero during a high-stakes holiday-themed heist, echoing John McClane's everyman charm. But back to the comics, much like Marvel's holiday special comics, which blend action, humor, and festive cheer, this story showcases the idea that even unlikely heroes can rise to the occasion, especially during the holiday season. So, did you know it was going to be kind of a parody of Die Hard when you originally watched it?
When I first watched it, I had no idea. I thought it was just going to be, maybe just a one-off of a What If. Some of those episodes run together and build up the story, and some of them are just special episodes. So I thought it was just going to be something with the theme of, here's Happy Hogan, he's the underrated guy of the Avengers team, the man behind the scenes, putting it all together and, kind of letting him be the Tiny Tim, I guess, kind of character of building him up. And that's what I was expecting. I had no idea there was going to be a Die Hard connection.
Yeah, I think the same thing when it originally aired, before knowing that it would be a parody or an homage to Die Hard. I thought the same thing. It was going to be that there would be this big thing happening, and Happy Hogan would be the one who saves Christmas, but he's doing it where no one knows that he's doing it. Like, he doesn't get the recognition or whatever. That was my original thought before I saw the episode. But man, once that thing started, I almost immediately went, "Oh my God, they're doing Die Hard." But we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's talk about the cast here. So we've got Happy Hogan. Of course, this is entirely animated, so these are just voices. But he is voiced by the actor who plays him in the MCU, Jon Favreau, director Jon Favreau. Then Darcy Lewis, voiced by Kat Dennings. Last time we saw her would have been in WandaVision, actually playing the character of Darcy.
Yeah, definitely need more of her.
Yeah. Then we've got Maria Hill, voiced by Kobe Smulders, who, we're not talking about that, so I'll spoil this, who unfortunately met her demise in Secret Invasion. So it's nice to see her here. And then returning, has not been a part of the MCU since his appearance in Iron Man 2, but Sam Rockwell does return to voice Justin Hammer.
Absolutely stole the show, too.
And, of course, we get some cameo appearances by Thor, Bruce Banner, and Hawkeye, voiced by their real actors, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, and Jeremy Renner. And then Iron Man, or Tony, and Natasha, Black Widow, they are not voiced by Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson. There were other voice actors who came in to voice them for the What If series. So how much do you like the fact that the live action actors do come back to voice these characters for this, what I would say a lot of actors would probably think insignificant little series?
I mean, to me, it just shows me how much they love this, that they actually care, about this product that they've made. I'm sure to some of them, if not most of them, these characters, that they feel that it's a part of them.
Yeah.
That, that they're not going to get away from, this character that they've played for the last decade or so. So might as well keep voicing it. It's going to pay checks.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if maybe it's part of their contract, but I would like to think that when they decided to do the What If and they reached out to all of the different actors who had been a part of the MCU, that they really got to say, yes, I will do it. I want to do this. So I like it. So you talked about needing more of Darcy. So what do you like so much about Darcy? I think everybody likes Darcy, but what do you like so much about her?
Her quick wit. She just reminds me of some of the students I teach. Just that quick wit. She was showing a lot of millennialism in this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just kind of reminds me of some of my students that I teach. That very quick wit, that young personality. She's the younger character in the show, and so it's just, her character is always just fun to me.
Yeah, I got a kick out of when Justin Hammer comes up on her and Maria trying to hack in to the system, and he's like, "What you doing?" She goes, "Nothing," and then she just keeps typing. And then we get Sam Rockwell coming back to play Justin Hammer after, man, that would have been over a decade ago. Because even with this being 2023 when this was released, and maybe you would think that he voiced it in 2022, you're still talking, I don't have it in front of me, but Iron Man 2 would have been 2010 probably when it came out.
Because I think I was just out of college about the time it came out.
Yeah.
Or maybe in college. So it might have been pre-10.
It could have been. So, Iron Man was 2008. So it just depends on how fast. And then Avengers was 2012. And this came out before Avengers. So Iron Man 2 did. So, yeah. So it probably would have been 2009, 2010 would be my guess. Again, don't have that in front of me. But yeah. Is this one of those where you would call back to it every Christmas? I'm going to watch Happy Hogan Saved. Because you mentioned a one-off, which, again, we typically refer to as one-shots in comics. This essentially is. It doesn't really connect to the rest of the series within that episode all that much. So, I mean, the Watcher is barely even in it. He pretty much just introduces it, and then he ends it. He bookends it. But would this be something you would put on your... people have those movies and specials and all that they watch every Christmas. Would Happy Hogan Saved Christmas?
I think it would be. I mean, I didn't watch it last Christmas, so I watched it. I was a little behind the 8 ball with season 2, and so I didn't watch it until probably the spring. And so
Okay.
I was, first time I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is probably the best episode of the whole season right here, and in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I made a point. We have a little order in our house of how we watch our Christmas movies. So first on Black Friday is Jingle All the Way,
Makes sense.
and then number 2 is always Die Hard. And so
Wonderful.
This might actually have to jump in front of Die Hard every year to get me pumped up for Die Hard.
Yeah. We don't really have a set date for things, but we always have to watch Christmas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a go-to here in the Wells house. Miracle on 34th Street. And we do prefer the remake over the original.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched either, but the remake, the 90s version, is, I think, closer to my heart.
Yeah. And I will try to get Die Hard in if I can. Again, I do have the 2 small children, so it's not something I can just casually put in. But yeah, I don't know if this would necessarily go on my I can't go Christmas without watching it. And it's a lot harder when the only way you have it is streaming, because we have, like all of our Christmas, Blu-rays and DVDs. And so when you visually see them, it reminds you, oh yeah, I need to watch that. I haven't watched that this year. And so it makes it a little bit harder with the fact that it's digital and you can only stream it. But man, when I rewatched it as we were getting ready for this, I enjoyed every minute of it. So let's go ahead. Again, this is going to be a pretty short episode because there's really not a lot to talk about. We'll get into more, of course, in the second half. So let's go ahead and end this first half and talk about watch it or read it. So before we dive too much in, let's talk to anyone who hasn't seen this episode. And Justin, should they watch it, or should they, find a comic themed, because there isn't a comic equivalent for this, so maybe they should find a Christmas comic theme and just read that instead?
I would definitely say watch it. Even if you're not a fan of Die Hard, you're not really going to get the references probably. And so it's just a fun watch for the whole family, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do think it hits different when you are a fan of Die Hard, but I don't think you have to be to enjoy this. So I definitely also say watch it. It's so much fun. And yeah, again, it will, as much as Die Hard is a Christmas classic, this pays homage to that. And so this is a mini Christmas classic.
What's up, dudes? I'm Jerry D of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, books, fashion, and fads.
If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, he's got it covered. Wait, is there a lot of things to talk about for the 80s and Christmas?
Well, you got the movie giants like Christmas Vacation, Scrooged, and A Christmas Story. There are TV specials like Muppet Family Christmas, Claymation Christmas Celebration, and a Garfield Christmas special.
Plus classics shown every year.
You also jam out to Last Christmas, Do They Know It's Christmas, and Christmas in Hollis. But most of all, it was a time for the most bodacious, best-selling Christmas toys ever, like He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers,
and Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yes, them too. We cover them all, plus much more, including standard segments like Hap Hap Happiest Memory, Gag Me with the Spoon, The Other Half of the Battle,
and Chant with the Littles.
So tune in to Totally Rad Christmas everywhere you get your podcasts. Turn the clock back and dive into those warm and fuzzy memories.
Later, dudes.
All right, let's get into to talking a little bit more about this episode as we take a trip around the spinner rack. And as always, we start with our speech bubble, our favorite quote from this episode. So, Justin, what is your favorite quote from Happy Hogan Saved Christmas?
So I actually have 2.
Okay.
One is from Happy himself, when he's pulling out some of the Christmas decorations and he's backing up, and then the Iron Man robots are coming by and bump into him. And he says, you would think, being $50 million, y'all know how to watch where you're going.
Yeah.
And it just kind of cracked me up every single time I see, hear that part, thinking, how much money is this, these robots, and they can't even steer out of the way in a hallway. And then the other one, this one really got me cracking up, was when Darcy's coming from the store, and she is talking about these Christmas movies. She's like, "Oh, is it like this movie? Is it this movie?"
Yeah.
And then she says,
Yeah, that's one of my favorite, because he tells her what's happening, and he was like, "Oh, it's like that movie Con Air."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "No, that's not it." And she's trying to think of what movie it is.
And she says, "I'm taking my visual aid down the Blockbuster aisle."
Yeah. Taking my visual walk down the Blockbuster aisle. And then, of course, she almost immediately then references Reginald Vell Johnson, who played Sergeant Al Powell in Die Hard. So I got to click. And then Happy even calls Darcy John McClane. So I love the fact that it is not, they're acknowledging the fact that Die Hard exists in this universe, but they are so clearly doing Die Hard. I mean, when Justin Hammer and his thugs enter out of the elevator, they shoot up in the air the exact same way that Hans Gruber and his people do it. And then, of course, there's the scene which will be where my quote is, the scene where Justin Hammer falls, and they shoot that to look exactly like when Hans Gruber falls out of Nakatomi Plaza. But I love that this is where my quote is, when Happy Hogan grabs him, and now this hulked out Happy Hogan grabs him, and he says, "In the spirit of Christmas, I won't let anybody fall today." And I love. I almost wanted to put this one. I don't have it exactly, so I'm going to paraphrase here. But I like how once everything gets started and Happy Hogan realizes what he's doing, he does a version of the line from Die Hard where John McClane says, come on out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs." He does the same thing. He was like, it's like, "Oh, come on, let's have this Christmas party. It'll be great. It'll be." So he does a parody, if you would, of that Die Hard line, and I get a kick out of that.
I watched it with Brittany a couple weeks ago, and I gave her no inclination that it was a Die Hard inspired episode. And when he's crawling through the ductwork, she goes, "Oh my gosh, is this a Die Hard inspired episode?"
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll move on to the next part where we talk about our moving panels. Our favorite scenes that we felt came right off the pages of comic. And I think I've already mentioned most of mine. Darcy trying. They even do the shot when Sergeant Al Powell, is coming out of the convenience store. He's got all the Twinkies, and he gets the call over the radio that there's a disturbance at Nakatomi Plaza. And you get that shot of him just looking down the street and Nakatomi Plaza being you get that same shot with Darcy of her looking down and seeing Avengers Tower, Stark Tower, whichever you want to call it.
Just no machine gun fire up at the top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not happening in the Al Powell moment there. He's too far away to realize anything's going on. Because you got to remember, he even in the movie, Al gets there and walks in and talks to the man at the desk, which of course is one of the terrorists, and they're going to send him on his way. And then John throws the body out the window to land on the cop car. Like, that's how he gets him involved. But I guess when you work for the Avengers, you just go ahead and accept, like, oh, you say that Justin Hammer and a bunch of thugs are taking over Avengers Tower. I believe you. Like,
crazier things have happened.
No need to say anything. What did you like that? Maria Hill was all festive with her little snowman
her
pin.
One little snowman pin.
Yeah, I love that's the reference that she's just letting loose because of the party. She's got the one little pin.
She reminds me of those real strict teachers at school that they just have one little decoration, or they wear one little thing to show their festiveness.
Yeah. Let's get into a little bit more of the Die Hard connection. I like to give a name to my little section, so I just called this "Welcome to the Party, Pal."
Welcome to the party, pal.
Of course, Happy Hogan is playing the John McClane role. Justin Hammer is playing the Hans Gruber role. But who would you connect Darcy to?
I feel like she'd have to be the cops in a sense of not really just Powell, but like just trying to get kind of mushing all the cops together because she's doing some behind the scenes stuff. She's trying to help when she loads up, is it Werner as the backup Jarvis? Yeah. It doesn't work out, just like some of the plans that the cops, have. They don't work out, like when they bring in the vehicle or the SWAT team comes in. Her character kind of just, to me, seemed like the cops all mushed together.
Yeah, I could see maybe the connection with Al Powell. I actually think, though, that she's a little bit more connected with Argyle. Even though Argyle isn't aware of what's going on for most of the movie, and Darcy knows right off the bat, I think the fact that she's the comic relief, which Argyle is kind of the comic relief for a lot of the movie in Die Hard. Like, even just when you see him and he's just sitting in the limo down in the garage, completely oblivious as to what's going on. It's a funny little moment. But then also being kind of the having the unexpected rescue towards the end. Where Argyle rams the limo into the side of the ambulance that they're going to get away with, and then punches Theo. Same thing here with Darcy kind of coming in. I would say more that Maria Hill is as close as you're going to get to an Al Powell or one of the cops, like you're saying. Even though she's a lot more involved, but I would definitely go that route. So you talked about Werner. So that, for those of you who don't know, that was a reference to a filmmaker named Werner Herzog. And he does these very artsy and very thought-provoking movies. And so it was a reference to him. I don't know why. Like, I didn't understand, like, why would they throw in that random kind of reference in this? But I do want to point out he was actually voiced by Ross Marquand, who is the guy who played Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he's apparently really good at doing voices, which is one of the reasons why he got the role of Red Skull, because he could sound like I totally forgot the actor's name, but Hugo Weaving. That he could actually sound like Hugo Weaving's version of Red Skull, and here he's showing off his impersonation of Werner Herzog. So I thought that was interesting. So yeah, so what else was there about the episode that just really pulled you in?
I mean, to me, I kind of watched the What Ifs very back to back. I kind of, binged watched them a little bit. Like, I'd watch like 3 or 4 episodes a day when I would watch them. And to me, this episode is just by far the funniest episode. Like, the What Ifs have a little, they gear more a little toward humor than I think the Marvel movies do in the cinematic universe. And, this one just cranked it up to 11. Like, I was either chuckling or almost rolling on the floor the whole episode. Like, it is just by far one of the funniest. And Sam Rockwell just absolutely kills it with his character in this episode.
The line where he says he's going to go use Tony's bathroom and he's not going to flush. Like, just the stupidity. Or even when Maria Hill confronts him and he says, "Oh, you're getting to face Tony Stark's biggest villain.
Are you a wealth tax?
What are you, a wealth tax?" Yeah.
It was very, the humor came across. I love Monty Python. It was very Monty Python humor in this episode.
Yeah, and then Thor showing up at the end and, "Oh, I missed the party." Yeah, we can't talk too much because otherwise we're just telling everything that happens in this episode, because it is just a 20-something minute episode. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's give our final decision: bag it, stack it, or trade it. So Justin, what say you?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to say for just a Marvel show, just without it being a Christmas show, I would say this is going to be a Baggett for me.
Okay.
The Christmas aspect on top of it makes me want to watch it at least once a year. I mean, no other What If episodes am I ever gonna probably watch again. Other than maybe the one where Thor comes in and almost destroys Earth. But this by far, just the humor. You have all the voice actors back. I mean, there's the absolutely hilarious scene with Happy in the locker, and he's calling the Avengers. That one just had me on the floor. He's calling everybody, and everybody's got their own thing going on,
doing their own thing,
and
which I love. I love Hawkeye and I guess you could say Clint and Bruce, and Clint's got to get this toy, and Bruce is just stressed out.
Sun's getting real low. It's winter solstice over here.
Yeah, pretty much saying, I got to get out of here. I'm gonna Hulk out.
Yeah, so to me, yeah, it's definitely a Baggett just for the humor. It's a Christmas episode. The Die Hard inspirations are all just icing on top of an absolutely delicious cupcake.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think though what I talked about earlier with it being a Christmas episode, but not being one that you immediately are going to think of, or at least not yet. Maybe down the road. Again, it's only a year old, or not even a year old as we're recording this. But it not being something that people just immediately think of. There are probably other Christmas episodes of TV shows that people think of. Of course, people always think of Festivus from Seinfeld, and you get stuff like that. This might be I might be aging myself, so Justin, you can see if you think the same thing. But the episode of Full House where they get stuck in the gas station on Christmas, and Stephanie's so worried that Santa's not going to find her because they're trapped in this gas station. Those are episodes that kind of come to mind when I think about. I mean, the I Love Lucy episode where they all dress as Santa, and then the actual real Santa shows up. Like, there's a lot other episodes that I think I'm going to think of before I think of this one, but I do really like this one. But for those reasons, I'm going to keep it as a stack it. Like I said, that might change over the years, but for now, just because it's again not going to be an initial thought. I love it. I enjoy watching it, but I can guarantee you that next Christmas, when I'm starting to think of, what do I want to watch? What do I want to watch? This one may not pop into my head. And so that's why I'm holding it. It might, which would definitely switch me over to Baggett probably, but as of right now, I'm going to say stack it. So let's get into our recommendations. So we both enjoy this episode. So let's talk about things that would pair well. Like, what else could you possibly watch or even read that would go well with Happy Hogan Saved Christmas? And I think both of us have the same recommendations. So I'll let you go ahead and tell us. What is your recommendation?
Well, if you want to stay in the Marvel universe, I would say the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. It's heartfelt, it's zany, not to give much away, but Kevin Bacon's involved. So to me, it has the same qualities that this episode has about, the meaning of Christmas and family and being there for each other, with a lot of just zany silliness there as well.
But of course, and I know you had your backup because you knew I was gonna say, of course, the ultimate recommendation would be watch Die Hard.
Absolutely. If you don't think it's a Christmas movie, then come and fight me.
I don't know about that, but no, I do of course think of Die Hard as a Christmas movie. But I mean, just watch it. So if you've never seen Die Hard, and you can pick up on the connections, and you get a whole different experience with this episode. So it does pair well in that way, because if you aren't aware with what they are referring to and what they are paying homage to, then watch it. Then you get a different experience when you watch Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. So yeah, watch Die Hard. I mean, come on. Or if you want more Jon Favreau, watch Elf.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only did he direct that, but he has his own little cameo as the pediatrician. So there you have it. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up. This is a pretty short episode, but again, it's a short episode of What If. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Everybody enjoy your holiday and your Christmas. Next week, we of course are releasing this episode the week before Christmas. So enjoy it. Spend time with family and loved ones. Sit together, snuggle up, and watch What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas, or watch Die Hard, or watch Elf. Again, any of the ones that or watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special,
or Die Hard 2.
Yeah, Die Hard 2. But ultimately, it comes down to spending time with family and the ones you love, and being closest to those, and cherishing those moments as we end out another year. Another trip around the sun, and all that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you, Justin, for joining me on this holiday excursion into Marvel's What If.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And thanks, everybody, for listening. Rate and review the show. Support our other podcasters out there. This is a hobby for most people. It is not a job, and we love doing it, and we love it when you love listening. So please support us, and let us know you support us by reaching out to us in social media. Of course, we are Moving Panels on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and even on TikTok. We are at Moving Panels. But we'll go ahead and wrap things up for today. For Moving Panels, I'm Laramy Wells, and I'll see you on the other side of the page. Merry Christmas.